On November 5th, we have a full moon in the sign of Taurus that could have us grappling with questions, maybe receiving some insight around our values, particularly around our resources, what we want to share with other folks, what we want to keep for ourselves. There's some complex energy behind this full moon and a lot to unpack. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, like and subscribe. I'm trying to grow my channel right now, so I'd really appreciate that. So I'm going to bring up a whiteboard to help explain this full moon and talk about its energy. Full moons always happen. Let me get it to the first page of that whiteboard. Full moons always happen when the sun is exactly opposite the moon in the sky. Here you see in the diagram that the moon started out as a new moon back on October 21st in the end of Libra at 28 degrees Libra. It's been around the chart in the last 14 or 15 days, and now on the November 5th, it's going to be a full moon. Yeah, and so full moons are these moments of illumination where we have an opportunity to get some clarity, perhaps around the intentions we set at the new moon. This new moon in Libra had a lot of energy around trying to find our center in the midst of complex times, a little bit of chaos perhaps in the background, trying to understand our perspective versus the perspectives of others. Libra always wants that diplomatic energy. And so you can think back over the last couple of weeks if you've had moments of conflict in your relationships because there was some conflictual energy at the new moon. And what you might be learning at this moment around those questions that have arisen. I'll talk about this more at the end of the video when we talk about how you might do a practice at this full moon to take in the energy and that insight and release what no longer fits you, right? This is what we can do at the full moon. So let's talk about the full moon itself and what it's going to be about. It's in an earth sign, Taurus, which is ruled by Venus and has a fixed energy. So that's how we understand this sign in general. Venus is the goddess of love and beauty and balance and harmony. She ruled the new moon because she rules Libra, but Libra's an air sign. So that was more about communication and whatnot. This is an earth sign. Earth signs have a real pragmatic quality. They have to do with what we can manifest in the material world. And Taurus, because it has a fixed energy, is about sustaining and holding and building and growing. It also can have to do with luxury and money, because Venus is not only the goddess of love and beauty and harmony, she also has to do with money. If you think about Lakshmi, who's the Hindu goddess associated with Venus, you can see the image I have put up on the screen. She's always associated with abundance in the form of coins, for example. We're going to see that idea of coins and Taurus in the Six of Pentacles card that's associated with this full moon as well. So we really get the sense that something about the Taurus energy has to do with security, building our finances, making sure we have enough. These are always questions of Taurus, as well as like food security in particular. We're going to talk about that in a minute when we talk about the United States right now, where questions of food security are really looming large for the country as the federal government, the Republicans, are attempting to cut off the SNAP program, which allows millions of people who are destitute and don't have resources to feed themselves. So that's kind of an interesting moment that we're encountering at the time of this full moon, is the conflict that's happening in the United States around that issue. So this is where I get a little bit into the idea that this full moon could have to do with our resources and what we want to protect. what questions that we may grapple with. Anybody who has points or planets in the second decan of Taurus, um, questions around power and money and success may loom large for them in their life. And when I say the second decan of Taurus, each sign can be broken up into three parts or decans, 10 degrees. And I have a series right now on the decans of the zodiac, the 36 decans. I'll drop a link to my talk on the second decan of Taurus if you want a little bit of a deeper dive. But this part of the zodiac, every 10 degrees of the zodiac corresponds to a different tarot card. The tarot card that's associated with this 10 degrees is the Six of Pentacles. Just look at the card. It's a wealthy man, and he's got scales in his hand, but they're out of balance. And he's giving money to one of the beggars, but not another. And so there's something about this part of the zodiac that can have to do with making decisions, if you're someone who has wealth, around who you give to and who you refuse to give to, right? And also, this is a difficult card because you can see the power imbalance located right there in the card, and there's questions for each of us. The man in the card is wearing a red coat. Red in the tarot cards can have to do with ego, but he's got a blue garment underneath. Blue can have to do with more that divine, reflective spirit quality. So this just deepens the idea that something about this full moon may have us grappling with what feels right from a divine standpoint about what we share with other people versus our own needs and our own desire for security, that ego standpoint that sometimes can lead to fear around, are we personally going to have enough? We're also going to see this idea. I already talked about the SNAP program a little bit in the United States. And just moving to this next slide, because we also see the idea about grappling with questions of what I have versus what I give to someone else in some of the background energy of this full moon. So we have the full moon is in Taurus. So with the moon's in Taurus and the sun is in Scorpio, right? Those are the opposing signs, but the full moon is in Taurus. But in the background, or averse to the full moon, because it's in signs that don't have a direct connection to the full moon, just trust me on that. That's a little bit of an advanced astrological concept. But in the background of this full moon, one second, I'm going to see if I can make this a little bit bigger. We have just moving this over, we have the planets Jupiter and Venus and Chiron in what's called a T-square. So Jupiter is up here, and he's T-squaring Venus opposite Chiron. And so a T-square is this tense energy. Jupiter is in the sign Cancer, that has to do with home and tribe and family. He really likes Cancer. It's about abundance, but squares are about difficulties and having to adapt. And when he's squaring Venus, which can have to do with abundance, and Venus is opposite Chiron, which is the wounded healer and has to do with where we have a wound, I just get a double vibe of this energy being about that question of how do we decide when we have enough as a tribe and family, right? Jupiter in Cancer. Oh, excuse me. And Venus and Chiron are in Aries and Libra. And so Aries is Chiron's in the sign of Aries. Aries is a sign about me. I got to get what I need. And Venus is in a sign of Libra, which is about we and sharing and what's fair and what's just. And so you put all that energy together, and I just see a potential for conflict, internal conflict that we could have around, if we're feeling like other people in our life might need some help, how do we make the decision about what feels right for us? How do we protect our resources and grow them at the same time as be open to sharing? So anyway, this could be part of the energy that comes up for you. There's also some other energy that's in the background, which is Mars, the god of war, is connected to Mercury, the god of communication. And so this also leads to the idea there might be a little conflictual energy, right? When Mars and Mercury get together in the sky, it can be a little bit fighting words or conflicts, right? And Mars and Mercury are opposite this planet, Uranus, that can have to do with things happening suddenly. So there's a potential that something might come up in your life where somebody in your family or in your inner circle needs something for you, and you need to make some of these judgments from your heart about what's appropriate. That was a lot. I know. I have Mercury in Virgo and, details and information. That's all me. Okay. So I hope you got the vibe of that. And then we can think about if this is some of the questions that might be coming up for us potentially, our resources, what to share, what not to share, power, money, all that other good stuff. How can we work with this energy? And at the full moon, it's this moment when we have this opportunity to gain some insight. Something's illuminated for us. So if you have a meditation practice, and you have the opportunity, or even if you don't have a meditation practice, if you're somebody who takes walks or just finds time to reflect in any other way, this is a moment where maybe you sit and listen, if you're in a place where you're faced with the decision around your resources, and try to understand what feels best from the deepest part of who you are when you're not working in a place of fear, and then make that choice around what you share and what you hold for yourself. And then you can sort of also see if you might have a moment to let go if there's anything coming up from that new moon energy back in October over the last couple of weeks. If you've had any conflicts in your life, you can also reflect on that and what you've learned, right? This is a really great time at the full moon when we get that insight to also express gratitude for what we've learned in the last bit of the cycle. Life is a constant ebb and flow, constant opportunity to learn new things and expand our consciousness. This is what the new and full moon cycles are about, this constant growth and release and letting go, and then a new opportunity for our consciousness to expand. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I sure love doing these. And if you did, again, I'd love it if you could like and subscribe, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks at the new moon. Thanks.